Hey, Dustin here, Smoking Eagles Rod Shop, and today I'm working on the window track in my blue van. Now, the proper way to fix this would be to cut all this out of here and patch in new metal like I did on my blue truck in a couple of small spots. But if you're working on a rat rod or, your beater with a heater or something and you just need it fixed and not leaking, like the old blue van here, I kind of like the rusty patina on it. And if I started cutting and patching, we'd be here, well, it'd never get done. The problem with these holes is they leak when it rains right down on the firewall, and then there's big puddles on the floors in the van, and we can't have that anymore. So my game plan is, I've got this nylon brush on here. I'm gonna go right down this track and rip all that rust out of there that I can. The reason I chose this nylon or whatever this brush is I'm hoping it'll be a little less aggressive on my windshield here, because I don't want to be trying to change that or break it or crack it or anything crazy like that. And the bigger diameter makes it easier to fit down in here with my angle grinder. Also, all my little pins are here for my chrome. So as long as I don't tear any of those up, I could probably put new clips on there and try and get my chrome back on. So once I clean that all up, I'm gonna try and pull this off. I've never had it off on one of these before, so we'll have to learn how to do that. I can suck all the leaves and garbage out of down in there that's been in there for 50 years. There's probably big holes underneath that crap that I don't want to know about, so we'll just ignore them. But then I can get to the back side of this. I'm going to try and get some tape up on there, and then I'm going to use my Pore 15 Pore Patch and Seam Sealer. This stuff is awesome. I use it for all kinds of stuff around the shop. And I'm just going to make a little putty knife and just start filling it in all the way across there and get all those holes filled in. And I'm gonna go all the way up this side to about in here, because there's no hole any higher than that. And then when water gets in there, it'll be sitting on that stuff. And yeah, that stuff don't care about water because it can't rust. Let's do this. We'll make up anything else on the way as we go. All right, so I'm popping the wipers off of here, guys. And to do that, on this style of wiper arm, all you've got to do is lift your wiper arm up, take something to pry this little tab out, right like so, and you can let go of it, and it kind of holds it, and then you just wiggle her off of there, right like that. Now I got these little rubber hoses, so I need to get those unhooked. Just stuck on there. There we go. I don't think that works, but no need to break stuff that don't need broke. Now, I can start pulling the screws out of this front piece. There's one there, there's one's over there in the corners, and there's a bunch underneath the edge of the hood here. I got 2 screws out. Now there's a bunch of crap down in there. I'm afraid if I drop one of these screws, they're gonna be gone forever. So, instead of getting a magnet and bringing it over here like I should have done for when I drop one, I've just been relying on the end of my drill to not drop them. So far, I've gotten lucky, but I've got a lot left, and that's when you drop on the last one, when you think you've successfully completed the mission. This is the last one over here. Then I gotta open the hood and get to the rest of them from the inside. So in here, they're all along here. One right back in here that's gonna be kind of tricky to get the drill on. So I'm gonna do all these easy ones first. Sometimes the right tool is just a regular old screwdriver. It's kind of crusty, it's kind of tricky getting it broke loose, but it's coming out of there. slowly. Okay, got one more, then we can see what's living under this thing. And it's a bunch of gross stuff. Gotcha. Man, for the amount of metal they had here, they could have just moved that screw out like just a little bit. Now, hopefully I can get this panel off without having to like pull the hood or something dumb. Yep. I think if I close the hood most of the way, I'll be able to lift that right up out of there. One side. Got it. I'm gonna bend this. So we'll set it over here on the floor where it's gonna get stepped on. I'm just kidding, I put it in the back of the van. Oh man, look at all that, guys. I'm gonna pull all that out and toss it all in the trash can and then shop vac it all out of there. And then, yeah, as you can see, I can get right up here to the back side of this. So we can clean that all out, and then I'll just get some tape up behind there. And we'll start pour 15 in this baby shut. I'm just gonna coat that whole thing. Really, I could paint it, but I gotta get these holes filled in. These holes are the big issue. And then I could use my pour 15 paint. I could mask this off right here. And then I could just paint this whole strip, just paint it black with that rust stuff. And then go back over it with a little bit of blue spray bomb. I got some blue that's kinda close. And by kinda, I mean it's blue. Yep, no time for talking. Only action. Here's where I am. I got all that sucked out of there. It was so deep, it was actually up against the bottom of the windshield wiper arms, and it was trying to rust out this top bar. So glad I got that out of there. I can reach the bottom, as you can see, the bottom all the way across there. Yeah. So time to get working on that. I got some tape here. Just peel me off a piece. And I stuff it up in there. Try and stick it up where I want it. And it can be a chore. But it's just tape, so you just stuff it up in there. I'm just trying to make like a base down in here. So when I go across this with my putty, seam sealer type stuff, it doesn't go down through the hole, it just spills the hole. So this is what I ended up with. As you can see, I got tape on the inside covering up all those holes. And I got the windshield and everything else masked off that I don't want to get paint or pour 15 on. I'm gonna go along and do the putty first. I'll get the putty on, or the seam sealer, whatever you want to call it, all the way across there. And then I'll shake up my paint, stir up my paint, and I'm just gonna paint brush on the same stuff I used on the floorboards and do this whole thing. And then once that dries, I may just get out my shaker can of blue and just psh, 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 or I may just leave it black. I don't know. I'll make that determination what I think looks best when I get there. So if you've ever used this stuff, you know if you get it on you, it's on you. What I like to do, get me a piece of cardboard, and then I squeeze from the end, drop it straight down onto my cardboard, and then I can put my cap back on without getting any on the threads of the cap, or it'll never come off. I mean, I'm super careful, and look at that. It still takes pliers to get it off there most of the time. I'm gonna use this little brush. It's like a little acid brush. You can get a whole pack of them at Harbor Freight for just a couple of bucks. And then we'll use that, get us some stuff, and we'll just walk right along there, and we'll just paint it all right down in there. Works super easy. Yeah, just wanted to kind of show you guys. And then this stuff takes a long time to dry, but in about 45 minutes or so, I can paint over top of it and it'll dry from the bottom. It'll be fine. So this is how smooth this stuff goes on here, guys, with this brush. You can see our tape in there. I just run right across it like that. Make sure I paint all the way down in that groove. Get me a little more. See how I got it on my brush there? I just set it down in there and just spread it across. Let it kind of self-level. Keep on trucking. Then I just use whatever's extra here to paint back behind my next post. And this is a Pour 15 Pour patch. So this is like a seam sealer type stuff. It's not really paint, but it's thin enough, you can see here. And I just got that tape back there to hold it so it doesn't fall through. And that stuff tomorrow, that stuff will be hard as a rock. You can sand it. I don't recommend using it on the exterior of anything that you really care about, but we may end up using some of this stuff on the exterior of the old van here to keep some holes plugged up so that water doesn't leak in. But yeah, look how quick and easy that is, guys. All right. I'll keep going. I'm gonna get this done. And this is what I've ended up with. It's all the way down in there. So I've got a few things. Well, let's be honest. I've got a bunch of things on my list to get done. So I'm going to go work on something else for just a little bit and let this set up a little. And then I'm going to come back with this Eastwood rust encapsulator. Same stuff we used on the floorboards. And just a regular old chip brush. And I'm just going to paint it right over top of this because this is all rusted and pitted. That'll be black. And then I'll let that dry and I'll decide whether I'm going to live with it like that or whether I'm going to hit it with a can of shaker blue. And yeah, this thing will be done. All right, see you guys in a few. Got our paint stirred up, and by stirred up, I mean I swished it around a whole bunch and then opened it. This stuff is super thin if you've ever used it before. Got to be real careful. So I got a moving blanket up here, and I'm gonna put my can up there, and I'm gonna move across there real careful like, and get some paint on there. This stuff is tacked up pretty good. It's real sticky. So that means I can paint right over it. So the way I'm doing this is I'm just getting a little bit of paint on my brush. I'm painting it right on the outside surface. You know, the part you can see. Getting that covered really good. Up around here. And that stuff starts soaking down into rust because it's really thin. It takes off like right away. And make sure you get it covered really good down in the cracks. Then I get a little more paint on my brush. And because it's so thin, I go right down along here and I just wipe my brush like that. Flip it over. Wipe that extra down in there, right on that crack, and it's just running right down in there and covering up that pore 15 that we put in there. And running right down in there. And then I just take my brush, I come back, just kind of tuck it down in there and just smooth it across just to make sure that it's kind of spread out down in there. And then, just go right back across the top of this. Make sure everything's nice and smooth. We are done. I'm going to let this dry for about, I don't know, 20 minutes, maybe. And then I'll peel our masking tape off, or yeah, I'll probably peel the bottom edge of the masking tape off. I'll leave this over here, and then I'll see how dry it is and see if I want to toss a little bit of paint on it out of a shaker can. I don't know, I may let this sit overnight and just get rock hard and then come back and do the paint and the clips. Either way, this isn't going to leak water anymore, and that was the main goal. I just take my brush, Look at that. Project done. I gotta get this paint off of here before I make a mess. So here's where we are so far, guys. I took me a piece of cardboard and set her up on the windshield there to block the overspray. And I used my shaker can of blue. It's a little brighter than the rest of the van, but when I do the old patina job on the van, it'll get a little shinier and it should blend in a little better. Plus, I don't know, maybe that'll fade. Who knows? I don't have my filler panel in there. I gotta head to work, so I tossed my windshield wipers back on, just, you know, so I know it won't rain, because if I leave them off, it's gonna be a torrential downpour. And I'm gonna head to work, let this dry overnight. I'll pick up some of these clips, if I need any, for our chrome, and we'll get that all put on there and the filler panel in it tomorrow morning. Man, that looks pretty good, pretty quick, easy project, and you can do it on anything. Any car you got. Maybe it's your daily driver. It's got big rust holes in there, man. Grab some of that Pour 15, little acid brush, or maybe a paintbrush out of your wife's painting supplies or something. I don't know. You didn't hear it from me, but you know, there's some, or watercolor brushes. I'm full of all kinds of bad ideas. Seriously, I'll get you in trouble. But yeah, all right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll finish this up. All right, it's time for the big reveal. This is what we got. Check that out. Trim all the way around the van, around the windshield. Our blue isn't perfect, but it is close enough. In the right light, it looks perfect, and then sometimes when the sun hits it just right, you can tell that it's a little bit different color. But I put some patina sauce on here. It's not the actual patina sauce, it's my own secret concoction. I've got a video on that, so go check it out if you like the way the van looks, and I'll show you how I did all that. But I put that on there and wanted to make sure that I was happy with that color before I finished up this video. Now, I did have to buy a handful of clips for the trim around that windshield. Picked them up at O'Reilly's. They were less than $1 a piece, so they're pretty quick and easy to replace. All you got to do is get you a tool. This is an old trim remover tool. I bought it at swap meet for like a nickel, and ground the center of it out, and it just fits down inside that clip, just like that, on each side of the pin. And then you can just smack the end of it with your hand. You just line your pin up and smack it with your hand, or a little baby ball peen hammer sometimes, like this one, because you got rubber that holds your windshield in, and sometimes it kind of gets around those pins and makes it kind of tricky. You can't just tap it with your hand. You need a little more brunt force, but that's how you do that without slipping off and busting your windshield out. Not that I know anything about that, but yeah, you can probably make your own tool out of a piece of sheet metal laying around. Just look around and use your imagination, little ingenuity, little bit of engineering, and anything is possible. Super happy with the way this turned out. Let me know in the comments below, is this a viable way to fix this quick, fast, without welding and cutting and grinding and everything else? Or are you gonna use this on one of your projects? Could you spend a little more time on this and actually do this on a lot nicer vehicle than my van? Maybe a show car, but technically the van is a show car because I took it to a car show this weekend and we got a lot of people looking at the van. I think some of them were surprised it was there and others were surprised it was there. So anyway, guys, let me know in the comments below what you think about my fix. Is it acceptable? Is it not? I'll post some other videos around my melon here of things I'm doing around the shop. And as always, I appreciate all your support, all the views, likes, shares. It really helps the channel grow. Until next time, keep on wrenching. Peace.